right, so hi everybody, welcome to the October 30th live class for the Mindful Eating class with the Health Education and Training Center of Gainesville. For those of you who this might be the first video that you've watched from us, or even for those who might need a little bit of a refresher, here's just a little bit of information about what the Health Education and Training Center does. It's a nonprofit 501c3 holistic health center for minorities in Gainesville, striving to improve the quality of health in the Gainesville community through health education and health promotion. We provide wellness classes like yoga, meditation, financial, nutritional, and spiritual classes. And we're under the leadership of Brianna Bree Chasteen, who is joining us, our fearless leader, Manash, who is our director of wellness and works with data to try to make sure that we're providing what people in the community want and need. And then Jennifer, who's our director of marketing, who tries to make sure that we're reaching as many people as possible. So if you want to learn more about the H.E.A.T Center, you can go to heateducation.org, and from there you can access all the classes and some more information about the center. So for this month's pre-recorded videos, for those who might be new to this class, each month I put out some short videos just with some ideas for how to, for like kitchen tips and tricks, or sometimes a guided meditation. And so for this month, it's all about kitchen hacks intended to shorten your prep time, make things easier, and hopefully a little bit more fun in the kitchen. So we've got produce A to Z and some ideas for working with different fruits and vegetables. We've got some tools and equipment ideas, kind of different creative ways to use things you might already have in your kitchen. And then meals in a jar, my favorite, which is sort of just like putting together, little kind of grab and go or heat and eat meals that you can use throughout the day. So feel free to check those out, as well as the previous month's content. And then coming up in November, the schedule is going to be just a little bit different than usual. We're going to have just two of the pre-recorded videos, all kind of focused on using leftovers, whether that be leftovers from the cooking process, in repurposing food scraps, or revitalizing dishes that you've eaten and maybe put in the fridge and want to make them delicious again. And so our live session, instead of being on the fourth Friday, is going to be November 20th, and then November 27th will be out for the holiday. So enjoy that, and we'll be back in December. So just, for a little bit more information, I want to share, a couple of the things that I've been learning, and again, I'm sort of in this process of learning myself. I'm no expert, but I'm learning from experts. So wanted to kind of pass along some of the things that I found that were really interesting. So, in terms of what are the mechanisms and what's actually going on when we do mindful eating, one of the things that is really important is strengthening the mind-body connection. And so when we do things like meditation with body scan, we kind of train our brains to, better read the cues that our bodies are sending us in terms of when we're hungry and when we're full. When we sit down to eat, part of the basics acronym of mindful eating, that first part is breathe and belly check. And so, what we're doing when we sit down and take a moment to just breathe is separating ourselves a little bit from the stress response to, all the things that are going on in the world, and, everyday stresses that can sort of trigger emotional or binge and sometimes disordered eating. So that helps us to kind of, step away from that just a little bit before we start eating. Of course, there's, more people that you can add to your team if this is something something that you experience and want to kind of work through that, there's lots of, kind of therapists and teachers out there who can kind of work with you individually. So definitely keep that in mind as something, that might be an option if you want. And then eating slowly and monitoring the body's cues throughout the meal can help prevent eating too much and then still feeling unsatisfied, to the point where, our bellies hurt because they're so distended and bloated, but still feeling like we need to eat more. So, slowing down can help, prevent some of those discomforts. And it's really an alternative to dieting. So, a lot of research has found that often following strict diets doesn't necessarily result in weight loss over time, across the life course. So mindful eating is really about trying to build habits and, well-being that's more sustainable, which works a little bit more, compatible. It's a little bit more compatible with the kind of neurological and physiological regulators of body weight, and also, prevents the kind of exacerbation of the restrict binge cycle, which, when we kind of artificially deprive ourselves of food because, for whatever reason, maybe we're trying to lose weight, our body is actually kind of react against that. And whenever we can get food, we want to eat a lot of it. We want to eat as much as possible. So, it's sort of this cycle that we can get into sometimes, that mindful eating helps us to kind of manage a little bit. And so the reason it's more sustainable is that over time, as we learn through acquainting ourselves more specifically with our foods and learn more what our preferences are and how our bodies react, to the things that we eat, over the course of a day or something, we actually, make choices in terms of what we're going to eat based on what's going to make us feel good, rather than, the idea of being good, or following specific rules that other people have kind of prescribed for us. So it's really about, just making yourself, well and happy and, feel great, over time. So really the intuitive eating that we do through mindful eating, uses those hunger and satiety cues to let us know when to start and stop eating. And, like I mentioned, learning our preferences, through doing those activities like contemplating, a snack and really just, looking at it, smelling it, feeling it, tasting it, chewing it really slowly, helps us learn more about what we do or don't like, which might actually surprise us sometimes. So these are the references that I want to throw out there of, where this information is coming from. It's a sort of series of webinars by the Mindful Eating Center. So certainly not, not any of my ideas, but a lot of things that I've learned that have helped me kind of better understand what's going on, the sort of experience and the phenomena that I've been going through while I've been learning about this stuff, to kind of better understand why some of these things are happening. So something that I find pretty cool, and hopefully you do too. So for the rest of the time, I'm so excited and grateful. We have Keiaria Williams with the Family Garden here in Gainesville, and we'll just gonna have a conversation. And thank you so much, so much for joining us. So happy you're here. And I'm going to stop sharing now so that we can just kind of see each other and have a conversation. So do you want to just start by, letting us know anything, that you'd like us to keep in mind about the Family Garden or about yourself?
Well, just to introduce myself, I'm Keiaria Williams. I go by Kay. I'm the CSA coordinator and the market manager at the Family Garden. The Family Garden is an organic, local CSA farm, local to North Florida, Gainesville. And we are a farm of about 7 young farmers. There is an organization in the U.S. called Young Farmers, and we're part of that organization. And what they consider young farmers, anyone under 50. So we have a crew of all young farmers. Yeah, I mean, there's lots I can say, but I don't know what would you, well, where should we start?
Awesome. Yeah. Well, one thing I know that is also particularly unique about the Family Garden is the food justice certification. So I'm, wondering if you can let us know sort of what is that? What's the process of, that you have to go through to get food justice certification, and what does that look like in terms of the day-to-day operations?
Well, so the food justice certificate is through the Agriculture Justice Program, and that was started here in Florida by a few people. And essentially, it just ensures transparency in agriculture, right? So, like for a farm to be certified, they would need to prove that one, they're treating their workers well. They're paying all of their workers a living wage, not the minimum wage, but whatever the living wage for that city is. We all have the right to unionize, we get breaks. And I know this all sounds really basic, like basic workers' rights, but what a lot of people know is that agriculture workers they're not guaranteed the same rights as other workers, other laborers. And, these are laws that have been passed down from slavery, right? So like I think Agriculture Justice Project is really just trying to create a new way for people to work in agriculture. And I mean, it goes further than union rights and workers' rights. It goes to farmers who have been affected negatively by environmental issues, right? And so just like making sure that people who work in agriculture get justice. I think one of like the biggest thing for me is that, I work with people who have farmed on other farms that, aren't, food justice certified or, not even organic or in a community kind of setting. So some of these are horror stories, no one knows what's going on farms, so especially workers coming in on visas, you can be treated any kind of way. People were living in sheds, getting extorted, exploited, their wages being stolen from them, just all sorts of things can and are happening, within the world of agriculture. So I think, what H.E.A.T is doing is amazing, and I'm honestly honored to just be a part of a farm who's connected with that and has tuned in.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all that. That's really good to know. And yeah, I guess, too, I'm also curious, what are the cultivation methods does the family that the family garden uses, and why, sort of what's the the reason behind those in terms of like, pest management strategies or fertilization methods or anything that you think is particularly interesting.
Yeah, so, well, okay. So our farm, our main source of income is through our CSA, that's Community Supported Agriculture, which is essentially like a farm subscription. And we feed, our maximum is around 300 people. So yearly, for 32 weeks out of the year, we're feeding 300 families every single week. So that really takes some mathematics, and understanding plants, understanding where you are, And our farmer, Jordan Brown, is the owner, and his wife, Diva Brown, they own the farm. And he is an amazing grower, honestly. So we're an organic farm, and we're not no-till. A lot of no-till is becoming more popular as we understand like the state of things and the world, but with what we're doing, no-till isn't really the thing that works best for us. But we till as little as possible. We don't use any sprays that aren't certified organic. So all of our anything we spray on our plants is essentially plant-based. So what more can I say about this? I think we work in a way that we can always plant and harvest in systems, so and successions, right? So we'll always have kale as long as, it can grow. We'll have lettuce for weeks and weeks. And then, we plant our sweet potatoes while they can just like be doing their thing and we're not, in that part of the land, and cover crops, just like implementing as much harmonious agriculture as we can. And I think that that's pretty much what's been working for Jordan Brown and like his system. And it's also really amazing to see the types of things that we're growing that you don't often see coming out of farms, like Brussels sprouts. This will be our 4th year growing Brussels sprouts, and we've had like some record growing, like Brussels sprouts, and celery, and just things that you see in a grocery store, but you would never, I had never seen Brussels sprouts like growing on a stalk before working at this farm. So that just kind of talks about like the way we think about planting, and like who we plant for, So yeah, I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, definitely. That helps. Yeah. So, what else? You talked about Brussels sprouts and celery in particular. What is the family garden growing that's in season right now? Or like, if somebody were to come to the farmer's market or get a CSA share, what will they find right now?
Right. Okay. So also speaking of market, we're the 441 Alachua County Farmers Market every Saturday morning. He's been going there for years. So for instance, tomorrow on the table, we'll have lettuce, we'll have kale, we'll have fresh basil and dill and scallions. We'll have sweet potatoes, we'll have cucumbers and shishito peppers, which is such an amazing specialty peppers. These are things, you see on menus at restaurants, but you don't often see in grocery stores. We'll have persimmons, not for sale, but for our CSA. We got our persimmons from another organic grower. And that's just to ensure that we can provide fruit to our subscription members, throughout the 32 weeks. So, as you can see, we'll have plenty of things, eggplants and zucchini. And we actually just harvested our first batch of cauliflower. And I'm always excited about cauliflower, because cauliflower takes months to grow, right? So it's like a baby, that you just have to care for every day. And then it leaves the farm and then it's gone. So cauliflower will be back starting tomorrow at the market. And so those are some of the things now. We try and focus on some things that people are familiar with, like staples, like sweet potatoes, zucchini, lettuce, right? And then also, like in the South, people are familiar with things like turnips and rutabaga and like different mustards and greens like that, right? So he tried to throw some of those things in there. So you'll always see like Southern staples like that. And then also the other owner, Diwa, Jordan's wife, she is from the Philippines. And so we get lots of Asian greens because I think Asian greens are a big part of their household, but they also grow really well here in Florida. So bok choy, all so many different types of choys, kumatsuma, and like different varieties of spinach that just don't have a shelf life to last in a grocery store. So you will literally never see them in a grocery store because they can't survive in a truck for a week or two. So it's always something new kind of at our market. Like every week there'll be like at least one thing that's, like you didn't see last week. And because of our successions, we can switch it up like that.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so much stuff. And I love the way you talk about cauliflower. I'm gonna go
I love
cauliflower, and it's just gonna be the most special thing now. Like I will never see cauliflower the same way. So thank you for that. Wow, that's amazing. So, so you talked about the 441 market and the CSA. What would you say is probably the easiest way for people to get food grown at the family garden? I know y'all also have a or a farm stand in the Southeast, right?
Yeah. So our farm is located in Southeast Gainesville, and last year was our first year really putting forth effort to open up the farm to. It really started out because we wanted our community to feel more welcome. Being in agriculture for this amount of time. It's like the last 2 years, I go to the Food Systems Coalition meetings, right? And the main goal is talking about how can we get healthy food to people who live in Southeast Gainesville. And here we are, an organic farm, right, in Southeast Gainesville. Who, we like to feel like our pricing is accessible. And so if we're in your neighborhood, then like, why can't we connect? Like, and thinking about it, it's because we're taking our food and we're taking it elsewhere, right? So the market is on 441 on the other side of town, and a lot of our customers are on Northwest, Southwest, and so it was a question of how can we get people in our community to come to the farm and actually like benefit from this. And so we started that when we were accepted to accept SNAP and the Fresh Access Bucks program, where people can double their food stamps money. And so once we were able to accept that, we knew, we had to like do something. And plus there's plenty of food. So it's like Saturday mornings. We'll usually advertise on our social media. We're the Family Garden on Instagram and the Family Garden on Facebook. So if anyone watches this, please feel free to follow us there and look at our things there, because we really try to be connected in that way so people kind of know what's going on. We know it, because as soon as we, know something, we're posting it up, right? So yeah, the farm stand, we were away for the summer, but we just started back last week. We're taking this week off so we can plant strawberries. We plant thousands of strawberries every year because we do a big U-pick season every year. It lasts I feel like the season lasts about 2 months, 2 to 3 months. And so we need help, planting 10,000 strawberry plants. So that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. But from after that, almost every Saturday morning from 8 to 11, we will be out there having just as much stuff as we have at the markets at our farm stand, even for like a little bit of a discounted price too. And we still accept cash, card, and EBT there, and you can still double your EBT money at the farm stand on location. And I think that was a big goal of Jordan, the owner. It was a big goal of his for a long time, because when you come into a community and you build this huge infrastructure, we're on 20 acres, which for, conventional farms or other, 1,000-acre farms, it's a tiny little farm. But, when you've been living somewhere for 10, 15 years and all of a sudden there's a 20-acre organic farm, it's a little bit of an invasion. So I think for the owner, he really wanted to connect with the community in a little bit of a better way and like make it more accessible.
That's awesome. That's amazing to hear. And you sort of started to answer my next question a little bit with mainly, what advice do you have for people who are shopping on a budget but want to get involved with the Family Garden? I mean, you already mentioned, for those who participate in SNAP, can actually double the SNAP benefits there. Are there other tips or any advice you have?
I mean, I think, a lot of the usual ones, like plan what you're going to eat, obviously. So then when you go to buy food, you're not just buying random things and wasting money, because you have a plan and you know what you're going to use. For me, before I even started getting into this line of work, I was a CSA customer because it made sense, in 32 weeks, for my family, we were eating high plant-based, right? So we would get a full share, which was at the time about $32 a week, right? So if we can spend $32 a week on a big box of vegetables, then, we can pay the plans. And that's like, what, $900, $1,000 for the whole season. That's what we would spend in 5 months. We would spend like $200 a month on food, right? So you're spending like $32 a week on your vegetables, and then you just add on to that. You get your bread, your rice, and your beans, and you're set. So I think thinking about it in that way, and like in an organized way, because that's one of the best ways to succeed is organization and making a plan, and just seeing what's out there. Eating in season is always going to be an affordable option, right? Because if you're what's a good example? summertime and you want lettuce, but lettuce can't grow here in Florida in the summertime, so you're going to have to get it from Canada or something, and you're going to pay $5 or $6 or something for a head of lettuce because it's difficult to get it, right? So if you're eating in season for where you live, then you're always going to be saving a buck. So I would figure out what's in season and build meals around that.
That's super helpful. Yeah, thank you. Awesome. Yeah. And so, you talked about the CSA a lot too. And I imagine there's probably, a lot of people who might be interested in that. So, how exactly, like, how does the Family Garden approach running the CSA? I know there are kind of different ways that you can do it, and sort of what is the whole philosophy surrounding community supported agriculture?
Well, first of all, I'll just start off by saying that we are not the only farm in Gainesville who offer this service. There are a few other farms who offer a really amazing CSA. I've been a member of them as well, and there are plenty of people in this town and surrounding that we can all get a CSA, and all the farmers can benefit from people eating locally. So I'll just start off by saying that, and I think it comes from a sense of partnership, right? Because farmers are going to farm and people are going to eat, right? So it's like, okay, I have 10 acres and I know I want to farm and I can go to market every week. And yeah, you can go to market every week, but farming isn't always, I pick all of my stuff on Friday and I bring it on Saturday. There's things that need to be picked on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, So I think it's truly a partnership with the farm and the community, right? So people need food and farmers have food, and so it's kind of like a perfect marriage, And also, when building this relationship with the community, they take a part in all of the stakes that come into farming. Like 3 or 4 years ago, there was the big hurricane and we lost a lot of food, and before we could, whatever excess we had, the CSA would benefit from that. So if we had a lack of, or, a storm wiped away everything we had, then we have nothing, but we all take part in that, right, in the benefits and all of the stakes. But then, again, when there's abundance, then everyone benefits. So partnership.
Wow, I love that so much. That's amazing. And so, I'd love to kind of hear a little bit more about your personal experience. So, what does a typical day on the farm or, in the community with the community work that you do, what does that look for you, and how does it change with the seasons?
Yeah, that was a good question because it definitely does change with the seasons. So let's just start at the beginning of the season. So my season starts when the CSA really kicks off, which is around October. So we'll take a little break in the summer months, because it's very hot, way too hot to be farming every day. So we come back in August, we kind of get things set up for CSA, just like letting people know information on when they can sign up. And so for me, it's a lot of being on the computer, sending out emails, making flyers, posting on social media, doing all the marketing. And for once things really kick off, it's kind of nice because there's a rhythm. It's, I go out in the farm in the morning and I take photos of what's going on the farm and, get so people can kind of see like what's happening. And I talk to the farm crew about what they're doing for that day. And they let me know anything I need to know. And then, I get back to the computer and I talk to our people. I let the CSA know what they're going to have for the week or answer any questions they might have. Help our Jordan, our farmer, out. We were doing a lot of wholesale before coronavirus. But now that we're kind of like in this, in the pandemic and still kind of like on the edge of quarantine, we've been doing a little bit less wholesale. So there's been more effort to just like really focus on the CSA and focus on market. So I'm just, I'm making flyers, sending out emails, doing the marketing, and kind of just like checking in with the farm crew, with the field crew. So it's pretty it's pretty simple. Whenever we have our pickups on the weekends, it's a little bit much. We're packing boxes and we're driving across town, bringing people vegetables, and then market. I work market almost every week. So I feel like every Monday I'm getting ready for a Saturday. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. It's not that exciting, but I find my simple pleasures in what I do because it really is it's fulfilling. It's fulfilling work.
That's amazing. That's great to hear. And it sounds like a lot to me. It sounds like plenty to keep a person busy. So that's awesome. And so, what have been the most challenging or rewarding aspects of what you do?
I think the most challenging thing about my job was having to look at what we do and then, what we produce and what we're giving out to people, and then also think about all of our workers, our farmers, our whole crew, that again, we're we're agriculture justice certified. So everyone gets a living wage, and that's those are facts. So payroll, thinking about that, and like how can we raise our prices, one, to meet the quality of the things that we're making, we're growing, and also to fit the needs of the community. So just bringing money involved in farming, I think it's like that's probably the hardest part because everyone deserves quality food. So and period, that's it. Everyone deserves quality food. So if you go into the grocery store and you're seeing, the prices that they have, and, you have organic food that's of a higher quality than that, and you want your prices to at least be comparable to what people can find in the grocery store, so there's not all this stigma around organic food, because there's so much stigma around eating organic and all of that. So just capitalism is the hardest part, I think, thinking about money. But the most rewarding part to me is when someone is really putting their hard-earned money into this and they've never done it before, and $1,000 up front, or, we do payment plans, but $1,000 sounds like a lot of money for some vegetables and fruits, but to see them come out at the end of the 32 weeks and just be like elated, like, their lives are changed, their kids love, their kids love eggplant, and then they're excited for the next season. I think that's like the most rewarding thing.
That's amazing. I imagine that would be such a nice thing to see for sure. Yeah, and so what kind of originally inspired you to get involved with this work?
Well, so I've had a CSA for, I guess, since I've been in Gainesville, about maybe 5 years. Since I started working in agriculture, I've had a CSA or had a connection with a farm. So I used to first volunteer at our neighboring farm, Samba Farm. I volunteered with them. I had a CSA with them, and that was amazing. And just I did that for a few years, and I just wanted to try a different farm. So there was another organic farm, and I knew that they had quality food, and I could trust it. So I tried it out with them, and that was a family garden, and they just kind of needed, at the time they were going through a transition with just like what they were doing, and they kind of needed some help. And this had been a dream job of mine for a while too, because of how passionate I am about CSA and how it changed my life. So I had been doing permaculture, so I was doing independent contracting, like building gardens for people and just doing my own gardening. And I was, also a mom. I am a mom. So in between big motherhood, I was doing farming. And so that really put me in this whole community. So, when I connected with the family garden to be a customer, we were a customer for a whole season. And I had gone out of the country. And when I came back and I was immediately going to sign up to, do the CSA again. And I'm a really personable person, so I get in people's business. So, Jordan Brown, the owner, I was just like, hey, Jordan, like, how's things going? Like, I'm so happy to be back. And he kind of like just told me that they were going through this transition and might need some help. And I think, people want farmers to be everything. They want us to do everything. They want us to grow the food, harvest the food, distribute the food. They want us to market the food. They want us to teach you how to cook the food. And it's hard, it's a lot. And so, I just connected with Jordan on what he could use help with and what I could do to help out. And it's really built up to this point where, so this is my second year with them. Just completing the second year next month.
That's awesome. That's such a great story.
Did that answer the question? Because I go on little rants.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's such a great story of like, just the developing relationships and how, that can kind of like close relationships and contact with, farmers can kind of grow into something that's, so much bigger. So that's awesome. And so you mentioned you talked a little bit throughout our conversation about farming in the area and how the kind of expectations for what farmers should be able to do and provide and all the things that you're expected to do are so high, as well as eating seasonally and how like lettuce doesn't grow in the summer. What would you say is the most important thing for people to know about farming in the North Central Florida area?
I think I don't know. There might be a lot, but one of the first things that comes to mind is just people should understand that like farming is skilled labor. Everybody can't farm, and so I think again, like it's the stigma around farming is that it's unskilled labor, and that's why people don't deserve to get paid well. It is hard, and you need to know what you are doing to be successful, not just for your, in your job, but for the whole team, because what you do ends up on someone's table, right? And so that's the very first thing. Farming is skilled labor. And the second thing, too, is you can't expect a farmer to be out in the field and at the computer, answering emails or joining calls. Thankfully, at the Family Garden, we have me. And, I love talking about food. I love talking about farming. So, like, I'm so happy to, like, be here talking to you guys. But we can't be everything at once, and we can't be everywhere at once. But, if we're out in the field working, then that's where we want to be, So just those couple things. I'll just leave it at that. Farming is hard and it's skilled labor, and, we do it because it's rewarding,
Well, so such important points. Thank you so much for sharing those. That's crucial, I think. And not something that I feel like a lot of people think about very much. So I really appreciate you bringing that up. Definitely. And so I guess, my last question would be, do you have any advice for people who want to get started with growing their own food at home? If like people who might just be starting out for the first time, things like pitfalls to avoid or anything like that?
I think, I don't know about any pitfalls or anything like that, but I would just say to tap into the people around you. If you are on social media, go on Facebook and look for any growing groups in your community, because they will save you time and money. You can learn from other people's mistakes, and also it takes time, right? The first year you garden might not be your best year, or it might be your best year, and then you have 2 horrible years, and it takes time, and I know a lot of people do it as a hobby, but if you can really tap into the fact that plants want to live, they want to be grown, then you can really create something beautiful. So take your time and try and build a community that can help you. I think that would be the simplest thing. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, thank you so much. Well, awesome. So is there anything that we haven't covered that, you want to share with people in the community or even, around the world who might be, checking in with these videos? Just anything that you want to add?
I'll just add something I think Jordan would probably say, and that's just at the end of all of your produce, at the end of everything you put in your mouth, there's someone, who grew that, someone who was in contact with that. And so think about, what you're paying for, right? Like if you're not buying organic things, one can understand, but you should understand that someone has to be in the field with fumes, and someone has to be under the oppression of someone who doesn't care about farmers' rights. AJP isn't everywhere. The food justice certification isn't everywhere, but you should know who your farmer is. We eat every single day. We eat multiple times a day, and you should question, who is your farmer? Where's your food coming from? I think that would be it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. And, I think all of these things that you've shared and, especially the last point too, I think, is really important for those who, practice mindful eating to really think about, when we're sitting down to a meal and assessing our food, it's so important to think about, our, how that action of eating food connects us with people who we may never meet in our lives, and the things that they're going through, as well as the community in some cases, if depending on where we're getting our food from. So thank you so much. This has been such a wealth of information. I'm so grateful for you joining us and sharing your expertise and your experience. It's been amazing, and just a million thank yous.
Awesome. Well, thanks for inviting me. Honestly, it was a blast. I'm happy to be talking about this. It's great.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So I guess I'll bring up the final couple of slides here, because we want to just give everybody our contact information here at the Health Education and Training Center. So everybody's welcome to follow us at heat.education.in.training. We have an Instagram as well, a website like I mentioned, and you can get in contact with us through that email right there, heat.education.training@gmail.com. So we definitely would love to hear, any comments that people have, things that you would like to see in terms of classes and content, especially with mindful eating. I just want to remind everyone, I'm definitely in this process of learning myself. And so if you have any feedback whatsoever about, the videos or anything, particular topics you'd like the videos to cover, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know. We'd be extremely grateful for anything that you have to share. So yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to share, pass along information from the Family Garden as well, so that people can keep tabs on what Keiaria and Jordan and everyone on that team are doing, because it's really amazing stuff, and definitely something that I'll be watching for sure. So grateful for Keiaria and the Family Garden, and Bree, thank you for joining us today, HEAT's director, and thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.